Remember the old ad campaign, "Sometimes I dream that he is me, like Mike, if I could be like Mike"? Our next speaker, you should never call Mike. He's Michael, Angelo Caruso. But he really is the professional speaker in town. He goes all over the world sharing the things he's learned. He's one of the best educators, authors, and speakers I've ever seen. Please welcome Michael Angelo Caruso.
A middle-aged man went off the deep end. He was having troubles in his life. He was only moderately successful at work. He was unfulfilled at home. He was reading blog posts, trying to solve the problem, listening to podcasts, even went to a therapist. Nothing was working. He decided to go to a fortune teller. Not his thing, but he's got nothing to lose. Shows up at the fortune teller's place of business. Incense is burning, candles. A woman comes out who looks just like a fortune teller, long curly hair, she's all beaded up, bracelets. She says, "You've come for your fortune." He said, "Oh, you know." "Come sit." They sat at a little table. She says, "Show me your hand." He holds out his hand, palm up. She starts to read his palm. Shortly, a concerned expression comes over her face, then worried. He can't stand the suspense anymore, and he says to her, What do you see?" And she says, "I see you as only moderately happy at work and terribly unfulfilled at home for 5 more years. He says, "Oh my God, 5 more years? I don't know if I can stand it 5 more years. And then what?" And she says, "And then you shall be used to it." If we met on an elevator, in a buffet line someplace, and you were kind enough to show interest in me and ask what I did for a living, I would tell you in 4 words, I teach presentation skills. So I help leaders and salespeople, professional speakers up their game, and it's become the joy of my life, the passion of my life. I really enjoy it, and I guess I'm pretty good at it. I've now spoken on 5 continents in 49 of the 50 states, some of them multiple times. 49 of the 50 states. I've spoken in 49 of the 50 states. Hawaii, thanks for asking. I want to give you 4 pro tips for being more persuasive with your presentations in the new year. How many of you give presentations? Hands up. Yeah, everything's a presentation for sure. So 4 tips for banging it in 2022 with your presentations. Now we're going to get into the psychology of communication and how it works. So the first tip is rapport. Now most people think they know exactly what rapport is, and maybe you do. But you know, society's moving very, very quickly these days, and there's no time for the niceties anymore, for the etiquette, for the rapport. And so I encourage everybody to take more time with this. I call it the psychology of attractiveness, or being psychologically attractive. Now when we hear attractive, we think about the outside of the body. We think of the dead cell, C-E-L-L, hair, skin, fingernails, right? The dead cells of the body. But we should be thinking about, when we're building rapport, the inside of the body. Spirit, vibration, dedication, principles, integrity. These are the things that you should be paying homage to as you're building, as Terry said, the R is what's most important, which is the relations part of it. And because society is moving so fast, we don't take our time with this. We move right away into the 56-slide PowerPoint presentation, and we're off to the races. So you want to spend time on this. It's super important. We also know that if you want to think about this in a simple way, the law of reciprocity is the key. So the law of reciprocity says simply, if I do something nice for you, you are inclined to do something nice for me. And if you can do this early on, be the first person to do it, things will work out better for everybody. This goes back to biblical references, everybody. The tide comes in, tide goes out, pendulum swings to the left, pendulum swings to the right, right? I wash your back, you wash my... Oh, I guess we're not doing that anymore. Really inappropriate to wash somebody's back in 2022. Okay. Let's talk about verbals, the second tip. Verbals are simply words, and here's where it gets complicated. There are 500,000 words in the English language. Each of them has a denotation and a connotation. And this is interesting. Word combinations are where it's at. How many of you have a 10-word close that you use to get people to do what you want them to do? Excellent, in the back. So those 10 words, as you figured out, are the 10 words that get people to jump better than any 10 words in the English language. Everybody should have this, in my opinion. It gets super complicated when you think about the fact that we still use phrases that don't make any sense. Some of them are actually quite graphic and violent. We still use them in society. Let's have fun with this together. I'll start the phrase, you finish it. Let's kill 2 birds with... It's just like shooting fish, and there's more than one way to... What? We're gonna skin a cat? What the hell? And we say things like this, and and young people are hearing these phrases for the first time, and they're like, what planet are you on, man? We don't do that anymore. I was in a meeting with a young man the other day, and he was rocking the fashion, He didn't have much money, but I could tell he was trying. And I wanted to pay him a compliment, but I didn't really feel it. You ever get in that space? And so I said to him an old phrase that I remember, which is, the phrase I wanted to use was, you look like $1,000,000. But instead I said, you look like $100. And he said, thanks, because he had never heard the phrase before, so it worked out great for everybody. The third pro tip are nonverbal, super important because everybody knows that people believe what you do over what you say, right? And if you say something and then simultaneously do something that contradicts what you just said, they believe what you didn't want them to believe. I'll give you a quick example of this. I teach it to all my presentation students. So it's called the half step in the industry. And if I say to you, I think you're going to really enjoy this product, and I do something that contradicts the affirmative aspects of what I just said, it's a takeaway. Watch. I think you're going to really enjoy this product. Did you see it? The half step. Now contrast that with no movement at all. I think you're really going to enjoy this product. And how about the half step forward? I think you're really going to enjoy this product. So a big difference, and it's a subtle change, but people believe what you do over what you say. Be careful with congruity. Finally, let's go to the perfect sales call, because all of you are selling something, especially if you're running a business, you've got people selling for you, a product, a service, a keynote, and you can use this strategy to get your perfect sales call in order. It's interesting that we're almost on a stage today, certainly in a theater, because actors have to hit their marks in the theater business. The mark is actually a piece of tape on the floor. So when I enter stage left or stage right, and I come to hit my mark, the camera's waiting for me, the light's waiting for me, and by the way, the other actors expect me to be in this general vicinity. You miss those marks in a sales presentation, your closing ratio goes down. And I can teach you, if you're interested, we can talk later, how to have your sales ratio, your closing ratio plummet, not plummet, but skyrocket. Let's talk about 3 aspects of the sales close. The pre-close, which is what I call pre-selling, where people come to you, to your presentation, and they're already ready to buy from you. It's because they've been pre-sold. Use testimonials and recommendations and social proof to get that done. At the beginning of your presentation, you want to use a technique I call the reverse presentation, and this involves getting the other person to give their presentation to you before you start your 56-slide PowerPoint presentation. This is especially tricky because the other person doesn't know they're going to give you a presentation. It has to be figured out in real time. And then finally, every good presentation has what's called a CTA, or a call to action. And you want to make sure that you use a very specific call to action, because when you use a specific call to action, you are more likely to get exactly what you want. I want to close with a song that inspired me this morning. You probably know the tune. It was written by Glenn Ballard. I'll just share the lyric with you. Glenn Ballard and Alanis Morissette, and the lyric is, I'm high but I'm grounded. I'm lost but I'm hopeful, baby. You know the song? And what it all comes down to, my friends, is that everything's going to be fine, fine, fine.